In this video, I review the K4 battery boost headset for the Quest 3 from the much revered Kiwi design. But in a world already awash with various headsets for the Quest 3, does this one stand out from the crowd? Let's take a closer look from an older gamer's perspective. Before we begin, a brief disclaimer.
Already?
Kiwi Design have sent me the K4 battery boost free of charge to be reviewed on this channel, but they have no say in the content of this video and will not get to see it before you do. All opinions here are my own honest evaluation of this product, as seen from the point of view of an ordinary VR user. With that out of the way, on with the review. Since buying the Quest 3 on launch way back in September 2023, wow, does that feel like a long time ago, I have owned a number of head straps for this virtual reality device, having rejected the horrible gummy strap that it came with. Honestly, this thing is so bad, Meta should be ashamed of themselves for shipping the somewhat legendary Quest 3 with such a substandard head strap. Next, I bought this one here, a cheap clone head strap that actually wasn't that bad, just a little thin on the side arms, which meant the unit did flex a bit when I was doing keep fit, although it was fine for sim racing or flight simming. But it didn't have any kind of a battery, which does limit what you can do with the Quest 3 when you want to use it as a standalone device. So, about 6 months later, I bought the Bobo M3 headset, I think when it first became available. And this came with a magnetic battery that slots neatly into the back. I reviewed the Bobo M3 in this video, and I'll put a link below if you're interested. The M3 is a halo design, as opposed to the first head strap, which is an elite style design. The difference is the elite style grips your head front and back, the pressure equally divided over your eyes and the back of your head, whereas the halo design transfers the pressure to the lower back of your head and the upper part of your forehead. The advantage of the halo design is that it can be more comfortable to wear over a longer period of time, as the lower back and upper forehead pressure is often easier to endure when seated than the vice-like grip of the elite style. However, the disadvantage of the halo design is that it's not great for games where you move about a lot, particularly ones with your head moving rapidly from side to side, such as Pistol Whip or the VR fitness titles. With the Bobo M3, I also found these studs here at the top, designed, I guess, to halt any downward movement of the headset, did give me a bit of a headache when I used them for long periods of time, as they tended to press into the top of my skull. And I also found that even though I couldn't really use the battery when I was tethered to my computer by USB lead, I still needed that battery to be in place. Otherwise, the balance of the M3 was just too front heavy without it. And then I was sent a head strap from Globular Cluster, which claimed to be a hybrid of Elite and Halo styles by adding a center strap. This additional strap really worked nicely, and I stopped using the Bobo M3 completely, staying with the Globular Cluster since I reviewed it way back in July of 2024. If you want to know why I liked it so much, check out this video, which I will link below. However, I still found the hybrid strap wasn't that great when using the Quest 3 for VR Fitness or Beat Saber or any of those other titles where you had to move around a lot. It was better than the M3, that's for sure, but I still found myself over-tightening the Globular Cluster strap just to get it to stay in place when jumping around. The battery also had this nasty habit of falling out of its cradle whenever I put the Quest 3 on my head, and so I ended up putting this bit of tape here just to keep it in place. So the question now is, can the Kiwi Design K4 battery boost head strap do a better job of my VR experience, both seated and standing, than the pure halo design of the Bobo M3 or the hybrid design from Globular Cluster?
You have a lot of questions.
Reviewing the Kiwi Design K4 battery boost headset. The K4 Boost, or the K4 Boost battery, the name might vary depending on where you live, is at first glance a very similar design to the official Meta Quest Elite strap, which also includes a built-in battery. But the K4 Boost varies from the Meta offering in a number of different and important ways. Firstly, the K4 Boost is significantly cheaper at €79 and often on sale on Amazon. Even without the sale, it comes in at about half the price of the Meta Elite battery strap, which is a stonking €150. Secondly, the K4 has a reportedly bigger battery capacity than the official Meta Elite strap, with the K4 internal batteries fitted into the rear of the strap, giving an additional 2.5 hours extended use, whereas the Meta Elite can only manage an extra 2 hours. In my testing, this was more or less accurate, but will depend on what sort of application you are using. In Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, using the Quest 3 wirelessly with Virtual Desktop, I found the combined internal battery of the Quest 3 and the K4 Boost battery gave me at least 4 hours flying time, which is plenty for me. A third difference is perhaps a smaller one, but for me personally is the fact that the K4 is a better thought out product, with the cable management of this small cable here set just about the right length for the Quest 3. It doesn't dangle down like the cable on the Elite strap or the Bobo M3 for that matter. And while that might not sound like a big deal, I can tell you from personal experience that when I am seated and tethered to my PC, I don't need this additional cable. So the shorter it is, the easier it is to deal with. It's a quality of life improvement for sure, but one that you will really appreciate when you use it. Lastly, and this is probably the most important for sim racers and sim flyers, is the K4 Boost is probably the most comfortable headset I have ever used for the Quest 3. I have not always been a fan of the Elite style straps, but the balance of the K4 and the thickly padded upper strap, combined with the thick padding at the back, just makes this thing super comfortable to use. If you like to fly for long periods or you like to take part in endurance races, I would say this headset is one that you should seriously consider. Another thing I like is when you put it on, it just seems to magically line up with the Quest 3's sweet spot. I'm not quite sure how it does it, but you just put it on and suddenly everything's perfect. It's great. It really is. And it's so comfortable, as I mentioned earlier, you just forget you're wearing it. That to me is the ingredients of a near perfectly designed head strap. Another advantage of the K4 Boost, although this is something most Elite style headsets offer, is the perceived improvement when it comes to field of view. While the Halo straps add less pressure over the eyes, they do, by the nature of the design, tend to move the lens further away from your eyes, which causes a sort of looking through a diving mask sensation. The K4 Boost, in comparison with its Elite styling, brings you closer to the lenses, giving a perceived increase in field of view and reducing the illusion of wearing a scuba mask. Remember, that's a perceived increase. You don't actually get more field of view. You just take more advantage of what you do have. Of course, the Elite style is not perfect, and this design will clamp down on your face, and at the end of a long session, you will have a ring around your face from the MetaQuest facial interface. But having said that, I would rather have the extra comfort the K4 Boost gives me and that extra perceived field of view increase. That to me means everything. This level of comfort isn't just reserved for seated games, as the K4 Boost is also an excellent head strap for fast-paced standing experiences, where in my tests it has stayed rock solid on my head with no wobbling and no in-game adjustments needed, no matter how much I jump around, which for an older gamer can still be a fair bit. The built-in battery is probably part of this overall comfort, as it adds a perfect counterweight to the front-heavy Quest 3, and the top strap with its thick padding relieves a lot of pressure around my eyes. Without a doubt, Kiwi Design have put a lot of time and thought into the design of this headset, and they have created something that is better and cheaper than the official Meta headset, while at the same time offering a durable build quality that offers peace of mind.
Win-win.
Conclusions. My overall impressions of the K4 Boost from Kiwi Design is one of a well-designed product produced to a very high standard with very little downsides. Even fitting the headset to the Quest 3 is just a few minutes work, even for someone like me with fat fingers. Is it worth €79? The answer to this will depend on whether or not you prefer a Halo strap or an Elite style strap. I personally was never a fan of the Elite style and found the pressure on the eyes to be something that I didn't want to endure, particularly for sim racing or flying for really anything longer than an hour. However, the K4 Boost with its comfortable top strap and built-in battery that balances the headset perfectly has changed my mind, and for the last few weeks I have used this strap for seated and standing experiences and never felt as though I was compromising my comfort on either. For me, the K4 Boost is easy to put on, finds the Quest 3 sweet spot with no faffing at all, and feels comfortable no matter what I do with it, and appears to be durable enough to outlast the life of my Quest 3. The only criticism I have here is the battery recharge port is a little bit fiddly to find, but once you're plugged in, there is a pass-through that will charge the Quest 3's battery and the Headstrap battery from this single port, so no need to unplug anything. That's pretty cool. Without hesitation, I can say this is the best headset I have used to date with the Quest 3, both for seated and standing VR experiences. And if you are looking for a well thought out headset that includes a battery, the K4 Boost is clearly one you should consider early on in your decision-making process. Let me know in the comments if you prefer Halo or Elite, and if you are persuaded to buy the K4 Boost. And if you are looking in general for details on Kiwi Design products, don't forget to check out their YouTube page. The link will be in the description below. In the meantime, I hope you found this video helpful, and until the next one, race clean, and I'll see you on track.
You won. You drove a great race.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.